Hey everyone. So today we have a very special guest, my good friend Kartik. Now Kartik has a company called Springrole. If you did not get a chance to check it out yet, I highly advise you to check it out. He's making a massive impact in, and we'll hear from his own words how he describes Springrole. But basically, he's making a massive impact in people verification, sort of, combine that together with blockchain, and you get Springrole. We're definitely going to hear in his own words his story, how he found the Springrole and everything like that. And so we're very excited to have him. Kartik, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. So Kartik, let's jump right into it. So tell us where you're from, and what was your upbringing like?
Okay, yeah. So I was born in Vizag in state of Andhra Pradesh in India. Brought up in Delhi, and went to schooling in Delhi, and then from there did my undergrad in computer science and college in India, Manipal. And from there went to Carnegie Mellon for my masters. So I did masters in machine learning, artificial intelligence. Worked on IBM Watson as one of my projects. So the Carnegie Mellon is where I actually picked up all these skills, and so that's I consider that to as one of the most important education for me.
Wow. So what was your journey from, obviously going from, in college, you picked up all these other skills, everything like that, coming across, AI, ML, how did that lead you into, entrepreneurship?
Sure. So, that was actually started in my undergraduate. One of the first applications I developed was a Facebook application which wishes your friends happy birthday automatically. And this was a problem I had. One day I had to wish 5 friends, and these were like okay friends, like people you want to be in contact but not really close friends, so you're not going to pick up the phone and call them. And I was like, oh, it's I have to say happy birthday first name. It's it's a lot of work, and to do that 5 times, it's not fun. As a typical developer nerd, I was like, let me automate this, right? So I was like, okay, let's figure out if there is an API, if there's a process to do it. And guess what? There was one. So I made a small application, and then I just put it on my Facebook. Like, this is what I did, and suddenly people started using it. I'm like, wow, I had no idea people wanted this, right? And I was like, okay, then people from US, Australia, from all over the world. Like, there was a editor at Playboy who was using it. There was one person from Australia who was using it to make in keep in contact with his friends, because he was using it as a professional networking platform, right? And people were like, okay, Karthik, I would love to pay you. I'm like, I'm not charging anything. I had no idea, right? And they were like, no, we want this app. We love it. Like, okay, let me start charging it, right? So then I just put up a small PayPal button, and that was how I started this entire space of entrepreneurship. There's no company registered, there was nothing. It was all just one idea I had, and I just wanted to build it, and then suddenly people started using it. So we reached out to almost like 4 million birthdays at our peak, and then eventually Facebook shut it down. Like, oh, this is too much, and we don't like it. And like, okay, it is what it is. It was fun while it lasted. And from there, did a bunch of other kind of things around, Facebook and whatnot, and slowly, went on to start Springrole.
Wow! So you should have sold that company to Facebook instead of shutting it down. Say, hey, Facebook, either you buy us out, or we're just going to make it even bigger.
Exactly, yeah. And guess what? Like, the other thing I had done was a read later app. So, how you go on to Facebook and you see, okay, this person has posted this amazing article, but I do not have the time to read it now. And so you can just click on a button that says read later, so almost like bookmarks it. And the same thing, 6 months later, Facebook launched it.
You should be careful. Facebook might be, hacking your computer, checking what you're up to next.
Yes.
Wow, that's phenomenal. So you obviously had that experience. So then where did this idea for Springrole come about?
Yeah, so this was, I was in Carnegie Mellon, and during my undergrad as well. So you had all of these companies come in, they were interviewing, and they were trying to, set up interviews for different positions. It was such a broken process, right? And you have all these candidates on one hand who are looking for jobs, who are very desperate for jobs. And then you have all these companies who are also desperate for candidates. Both of them are desperate, but they're still not able to find and figure out the problem because it's all broken. The scale is just immense, right? Everything is so manual. People have to go through a full resume and get to figure out if this person is a fit. We have, this is, that was, I think, 2014 when we started, and there were, driverless cars and whatnot. And can you just not match a person's resume with a job description to figure out if it's a fit? Right? There's nothing really out there. So, the first thing we built was, and this was my thesis project in Carnegie Mellon, was to figure out how do you match a job description with a candidate resume. And I did this, and also, while doing this, I was the CTO at Science. Science is this technology studio out of Los Angeles, Santa Monica. They successfully launched Jolly Shift Club, which was acquired by Unilever for $1 billion. So I saw that entire growth phase. It was that crazy, growing from say 0 to $1 billion. That's insane, right? Within a period of 5 years. And I saw that all these companies were having these hiring problems. I'm like, being in Carnegie Mellon, with this amazing background, I have to do something about this. And then, as a typical developer, I just started focusing on this from a developer angle, and then eventually started to make a business out of it.
Right.
Started as a thesis project, more as a very hardcore technical project, and from there went into a business.
Wow. So explain to us exactly what is Springrole? Because a lot of people have very different definitions about it. What exactly does it do?
Yeah, so there have been multiple products, over the period of 4 years, and we have multiple products but our core is at recruiting. How do you improve recruiting with technology, right? How do you improve this entire human resource recruiting segment with technology? The most recent one, the consumer-facing product we have, is a verified professional profile on the blockchain. So the reason blockchain makes sense here is if a person has been verified once, that information is on the blockchain, tested on the blockchain, right? And that is enough. Right? You don't have to do the same process again and again. Currently, employment verification is all broken. The same thing happens every time, which is a waste of everyone's time and money. So you're once done, it's written to the chain, and it's mathematically and technically proven that it cannot be changed. Right? There's no fraud, and that is obviously very, very important. And so that is what we do: a professional profile verified on blockchain, and we have kind of built use cases around that. So one of them is employment verification, the other is skill endorsements, skills verification, and then there are a bunch of other things which are going to come up soon.
Right. So before we get into that further, I just want to ask you a question. Would you get introduced to blockchain to begin with? How did you come across blockchain?
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Back in 2013, when I was in Carnegie Mellon, I was, the CMU was all about technology, and they had obviously different groups around blockchain, Bitcoin, whatnot. So I just started getting involved because it seemed, like this is this new type of currency. No one has any control, run by an anonymous guy. It was like, like a dream come true, right? And you're like, oh, wow, this is interesting. And, I started spending some time on it, did not really understand it. It's like, I had no background from a financial perspective, right? So I was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. It's cool. It's, very nice. And so I was, just doing the usual stuff of mining and whatnot all through my laptop. Right? It's fun. And built a small exchange where you could buy Bitcoins with US dollars along with Science and Mike Jones. And, from there, I was like, okay, this is actually, something real. Went to this big conference in Vegas where all the people from around the world had come for the blockchain Bitcoin thing. Like, wow, this is not just me and not people sitting in front of a computer, actual, real people talking to each other about the future of money, future of, applications and whatnot. And then, I spent some time, but did not really put in much thought. I got busy with my studies and whatnot. But then in 2016, 2017, which is when it really started to take off. I'm like, yes, this is actually what I was looking for, because this was the first time blockchain had a non-financial application.
Right.
Before, then it was just a digital currency. Now you could use it for any kind of information where you do not need trust, right? You have computers doing the trust for you. So it's not just money; it can be used for any type of information. And blockchain just made like a very like it was a very good use case for us.
I want to, you know what I want to know? I want to know how much Bitcoin you have in your wallet. That's what I want to know.
So it's a funny story. I used to mine Litecoin because Bitcoin was already tough back then. 2013 was already too late. And, I changed laptops, went from Carnegie Mellon to Springrole, got a new laptop, and obviously Litecoin was like less than a cent or something. I'm like, oh yeah, who cares, right? And lost all the Litecoins I had.
Well, what's it at now, Litecoin?
It's, I think, $60, but it went to $200 or something. So,
oh, wow.
$60 is probably 100x or something.
Yeah. Well, so you go ahead. So obviously you build out the application more on blockchain. Now, so from my understanding, Springrole is based upon around the fact about people verifying people, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously for that to work, you need a very big database of people to sign up to your program. So how is Springrole, how are you going about that, of conquering that aspect of getting enough people there in order to make people, to help people verify people and all?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of ways to grow this. One is obviously employment verification, where it's companies asking a potential employee to verify himself or herself, right?
Right.
So if it's a company asking, then you will obviously do it because it's a job you want to have.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a company asking you to verify, right? Then that's one option. The second, which blockchain gives you, which is very unique, and you have not seen that anywhere else, is a token. And that token actually helps you gamify this entire system. I refer you, you get, I get 100 tokens.
Right.
I get my company onboarded, I get 5,000 tokens. So that gamification with this token is very, very strong. And if you tap that well, if you have the mechanics done well, you can easily beat any of the existing systems because you have this new currency which no one else in this world has, and which is very, very important. This is why Google came up and said emails are free. You do not have to go pay Microsoft $10 per month to access your email. We will give it to you for free, but we will charge for advertising.
Right.
Yeah, obviously I don't care. I'm getting the source for free. Why would I not use it? So this is a very different shift in the business model, and this can actually have very disrupting effects. Which is why a lot of people do not understand is like blockchain is not just a technology, but this entire business model which comes along with it, and that will actually have a bigger impact than just the technology. Like you and I, like my mom does not care if Springrole is on the blockchain or is it on a database. She cares about this new business model is what gets her excited. Not really the technology behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I see, but it works both ways, and I see the technology is verifying the aspect. The biggest problem we have, let's say, even take LinkedIn for example. There's a great picture meme going around recently about two people on LinkedIn. So one person has a LinkedIn profile, the picture LinkedIn profile saying he's accomplished this, he's X, Y, and Z, doing this, this, and this. The next picture is him sitting and says the real profile unemployed.
Yes.
So the thing about LinkedIn is that it's not verified, right? You cannot verify it.
Verification is, it's fully flat, and that's what I don't get it. Say you are the best Java developer in this world, and there is this person who's a sales guy. Both of you endorse me on Java. His endorsement has the same weightage as yours.
Right.
Makes no sense. You're probably one of the best Java developers in this world. Your endorsement should be like, wow, Karthik really knows Java, right? It's not like that. It makes no sense. This is how Google page ranks. Google solved this with pages 15, 20 years ago. They were like, if what does this say? Forbes.com is referencing Springrole. That means Springrole is of good value because a very high value website is referencing Springrole, not some random website, right? And that's a very important thing to note. And that's how people's reputation work. Like tomorrow, if a random stranger comes to you, hey, you should hire this person. You're like, I don't know, right? But if one of your close friends and a person you really respect and says, and then you're like, yes, I definitely need to talk to that person, right? So you have to kind of mirror, technology needs to mirror, what is happening out in the real world. If we do that well, we're solving something real.
Correct. So how do you go about, obviously, you have different methods, but how do you go about verifying that actually people reviewing on your thing are not just trying to gamify it and receive the tokens, or they're actually, it's legit too?
Correct. Yeah. So what happens is these tokens are dependent on the person who's verifying you and on the person who's being verified. So the number of tokens dictate that. And as with any systems, there will be initially they will try to gamify, figure out different techniques, but this token has a real cost. So if someone really wants to, build up a very fake reputation, they, either need to have $1 billion to kind of, fake this entire thing, or just need to have very, probably know all the best experts in this world, which is a very hard thing to do.
Right. Yeah, I guess. What are the tokens worth now?
So tokens are not yet live.
Not yet live.
Still figuring out. So blockchain is very, very early. Like a lot of people say, it's been 5 years, since the launch of Bitcoin. I'm like, no, as in 7 years, sorry. I'm like, it's still very early. It's probably, 3 years, 4 years away from mass adoption.
Correct. So talking about this, what are some of the early challenges or the hurdles, struggles they went through in building up Springrole so far that you have to overcome?
So anyone in the blockchain space has this, challenge about regulation and people perception and whatnot, right? And that happens with any new technology. You explain this to your, mom and dad. They're like, oh, what is this, right? We read about all these scams on newspapers. Why are you involved in something like this? And, all of that stuff, right? But then that is happening, that's changing. You try to explain to people, okay, this is why this technology is so important. People get that. So that's obviously one challenge. The second kind of challenge is around hiring and finding the right people. With any new technology, there are not that many people in this world who really know this, right? So how do you find the right people? How do you train them? How do you make sure that people really understand not just the outside world, but people inside the company as well? So that's very important. So just re-emphasizing the same technology again and again obviously helps.
Right. So how big is your team right now at Springrole?
So we are around 45 people.
And all based in India?
No, we have an office in Santa Monica as well. So we have a couple of people there, and the technology team is in India.
Right. So now the problem that Springrole is trying to work on and fix, is it you're focusing specifically now just in India or worldwide? US
and India. So we have users from all over the world, but we as a business, we want to be focused on India and US.
Right, correct. Now, where do you find this? And obviously, this issue is a big issue, especially in verifying. Where do you find this a bigger issue at?
India.
In India. So
yeah, because of the disinformation, the information is not really structured. The 15% of the resumes are fake, and so the numbers are much, much higher. Not just the percentages, but also the actual numbers because of the population.
Right, correct. And so how do you find people adapting so far? The people that have used Springrole, and the people that you expose them to it, how do you find them adapting to it so far?
Yeah, so is the question around what is the feedback from people?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah, so it's still very early. People, we have some active users, they've been using it, they've been referring, so we have some power users, which is what we want to see.
Right.
And we're trying to push more and more people towards that bucket. Be a power user, that is what we want. So now the feedback is nice, that's good. Obviously there are bugs, they tell us, we fix it, and that's all fun stuff. But once we've realized is there is this blockchain component to Springrole right now, which a lot of people do not understand. So that's that's something we have been battling with. How do you make the user experience very convenient or very good that the non-blockchain person is able to use it and at the same time have the benefits of blockchain and transparency? Because if you just go on to the one extreme is LinkedIn as a centralized system, the other extreme is say Bitcoin or Ethereum. You want to be in the middle, so you want both parties to be satisfied, which is not an easy thing to do. Right? That's a challenge, and if you are able to do that, you'll be rewarded well. Right? So that's what we every single day we're like, okay, how do we do this? How do we get more feedback? So you want to be fixing that and getting better.
Right. So you constantly essentially have to educate your own customer and get them understand. Let them understand blockchain and what you're trying to accomplish. So you got a lot of work to do. Yeah. So let's take this. You're one of the pioneers, I guess, in India with blockchain. Bitcoin. I see. You speak on all the forums. I know you just came back from TechStars.
Yes.
How do you find India in general adapting to all this new technology?
Yeah, so the regulation is, one step behind, and there have been many scams which are actually, not helping this case. And regulators like, we want to make sure, even if technology does not proceed, we want to make sure that our citizens are safeguarded, which is a very conservative view to take, but at the same time, it helps the country kind of safeguard its citizens, right? And at the same time, you have all these new technologists, developers. India is a country of information technology. Right? This is where the entire world's technology runs. Right? Every single company has an office here in terms of technology. So those people are actually rising up, figuring, oh, okay, this is nice. This is makes sense. This is what we should do, and all that. So there's a lot of nice reception. People really understand it. People get the point. They no longer think this is a scam. They actually get it. There are some state governments in India. We have an MOU with one of the states, which is trying to do real estate on blockchain, education degrees, things like that. And when you have these government actors and states trying to adopt blockchain, people kind of get more trust, right? And it's funny how that works, but that is how it works, right? Yeah. So it's so the perception is very quickly changing, and I hope the regulation will also catch up.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely doing your part in educating the people and how to change it properly and how to adapt. That's incredible. So what, you're obviously, advisor, I see, to quite a few startups. You have your own startup. You've been involved before in the US and in India. So I guess we'll make this a twofold question. What do you see in the startups in India, the startup ecosystem in India? How do you see that growing currently?
Yeah, so it's growing very well with the recent exit of Flipkart to Walmart, one of the largest companies in India. It was a $16 billion deal, right? That was the biggest in India, and that showed to a lot of startup folks that okay, this is not just fake money. This is real. Walmart coming into India with one of the biggest acquisitions, probably faster than any other company in the history of in Indian space. Right? So this is changing. There's more capital now. There's as in homegrown capital, which is what you want. All the early Flipkart folks, right? Flipkart founders, whatnot, they're investing. They're taking the proceeds, putting it back into the ecosystem, which is very, very good to see, right? Like till I think in the last since 2005 to 2015, it was mostly outside capital coming in. And now that shift has changed, where the capital from Indian investors is being put back to the ecosystem. And that is actually very good. So there's a very nice shift happening. People focus more on more research and technology, more development, more hardcore artificial intelligence, machine learning, healthcare systems. All of those are slowly coming up. There still needs to be a long way in terms of the regulations around how do you start a company, how do you run a company, finances, legal, all of those things. Government is trying to do their own job, but regulations need to catch up. And then at the same time, the ecosystem is maturing. So the culture is obviously much, much better in the sense that you do not have this, people are not smoking at you, or people are not criticizing when you say, oh, I'm going to do my job and going to do a new company, right? So that has changed. And sometimes you actually, if you say you're a startup founder, you get more respect than being in a company. So that is a very nice change. And that will take more time to kind of spread across the country instead of just being focused on the top cities. And once as it starts doing it, then we'll see many more Flipkarts of India.
Right. So I'm sure your parents are very thrilled right now that you're an entrepreneur.
Yes, yeah, they absolutely love it. And 10 years ago, they were obviously had a different opinion.
And that's the thing about Indians. In a sense, the culture there is very risk adverse. Very education oriented, going to school, getting a blue collar job. And, and the fact that you mentioned, and I've heard quite from a few people that how it's changing. And yes. Like you said, that they're getting respect now, which is amazing to, incredible to see.
Yeah.
So the other thing is obviously what advice do you go ahead and tell this new guy that graduated from IIT or from any other college that wants to go ahead and start their own startup? What advice do you go ahead and tell them?
Yeah, I think the single biggest thing which makes a startup successful is, team and people, right? It's all about the people. You'll figure out the product, you'll figure out the business, you'll figure out all of those things. When I say people, it's if you take a step back, it's actually passion. Are you really passionate about this problem? I've seen companies go almost living paycheck to paycheck, having like say 7 days of cash flow and still being so successful, right? It's all about the passion. How far can you go, right? If you're really, if you're willing to go that far, and no startup is easy, right? You may have luck initially, or you may have luck for the first 5 years, but at some point there'll be problems and challenges, right? So that is when the passion really counts. If we have that passion, you will do what it takes to succeed, and you will come out, you will come out more successful no matter what the actual result of the company is. Sometimes companies shut down for whatever reasons, right? So there's so many things which can go wrong, but you still get a nice job. You learn a lot. There's a competing company which values the knowledge you have. And that's obviously very, very useful. So I think the single biggest thing is passion. You should be, before starting a new idea, you should be like, are you really passionate about this thing? Take your time, figure that out, spend time talking to existing people in this industry. Figure out, are you ready to give up the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of your life for this? Because there's so many other things which you can do.
Okay, so we have a passion. So that's number one. But definitely, I love how you think about it. How you said the long term. It's not entrepreneurship and starting a startup is not a short-term game. It's not 1, 2 years. It's 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if you're willing to give that time for this idea, that's incredible. So we got passion. What else we got?
Yeah. So passion. I think passion is the biggest thing, because passion kind of translates into hard work. There is this famous saying, right? If you spend 10,000 hours on any new thing, you will become an expert. Right. At the same time, if you're passionate enough, you will be spending 10,000 hours, and then you become an expert. Right? We have all these, crazy founders who had no backgrounds in the fields they were disrupting, and they just happened to win because they spend that much amount of time. Right? That is what it takes. There is no shortcut to hard work, right? If you want this to be a 9-to-5 job, then startups are probably not what you should be doing. So, passion kind of translates into hard work, determination, patience, because things take time. Sometimes you will go a month without any change in metrics. I'm like, what the fuck? Like some things to just take more time. So, so I would say determination, hard work, patience, perseverance, all of those kind of come back to, in my world, come back to passion. Right. And it's all kind of revolving around passion.
Right, 100%. I just recently finished a book. It's called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And he writes over there that he was a terrible, terrible salesman. Terrible. But then when he founded Nike, when he brought in the shoes from Japan, the Tiger shoes, and sell them, he was so passionate about running and the whole concept of running and everything like, and then running shoes and selling them, is that he didn't have an issue selling the shoes. And he goes on to explain over there is that more the line what you said, that he was so passionate about it, that he was so passionate about the fact that he wanted every runner to have the most perfect running shoes, that it wasn't even selling to him. He just was passionate. And through his passion, he was able to become the best salesman and sell, the shoes, and eventually came to what Nike is right now, the whole journey along over there. So passion plays such a bigger role than just the idea. It's just a whole bigger thing.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. Even if I, think about myself, like a lot of people have said, oh, Karthik, you're an engineer, you're coming from the technical background, you cannot be doing sales, and engineers cannot be selling, all that stuff. But when founders are the best salespeople, right? You're selling something which you build yourself, right? And the amount of passion just outweighs any amount of expertise a salesperson can have, right? Yeah. And you just see that, like, no matter what sales skills you have, but if you have the passion, people see it and people respect it. And there'll be people who maybe do not give a fuck, but there'll be a lot of people who actually care about it.
Right. So I'm definitely sure. I definitely know that with your passion, you're taking Springrole to new heights and everything. It's not even a question, So what are, you're obviously in a very, space, combination between a lot of different technologies. Who are the entrepreneurs, the mentors that you look up to?
So I guess, the one person I really look up to is Mike Jones. He was the CEO of MySpace. Before that, he sold a company to AOL. A bunch of other companies, has had, I think, 5 exits, sold MySpace as well, and then started Science. And I was the CTO at Science. That's how I know him. He hired me personally, and I have never seen a more passionate person than him. You walk You may be the most depressed person on this planet, and you walk into a room with him, and I can assure you within 10 minutes, you'll come out smiling and like, wow, I can just change the entire world, right? That is the amount of energy he has. And it's crazy. Even if you talk to him like, midnight, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. does not matter. The amount of energy he has is just insane. Just rubs on you. I've never had a better, mentor in my life.
Wow. You make me want to meet him now,
Yes, you should definitely.
It's incredible. And then are there any books have you found that have transformed your way of thinking, be it in entrepreneurship or in general?
Yeah, so I think the Steve Jobs book is what really affected me, and not just the book, obviously parts of it. So things like you can only connect the dots looking backward, right? Because sometimes you're doing 5 things and like, oh, I don't know if it really makes sense, but I think you should do it, and things you have a gut feeling, right? And then 6 months on the line, it's like, yes, because we did this 6 months ago, we are in this place, right? Those small things like you can only connect the dots looking backward, not forward. So all of these small lessons like this really helps. How you turn the backside of a Mac and then you can see it's fully very beautiful. It's not like any other laptop where this thing is hanging out, I can see the hard disk, I can see this, like it's all completely it's as beautiful as the front side of it. So it shows how much effort has been put into building this entire piece, right? It's not just they do not just care about what is being seen by the customer, but also what is behind the scenes, right? So small things like that. I think Steve Jobs the book was definitely very changing in the sense. That is a book you just cannot read once. You have to keep reading. Every time you read, you have a different perspective and you pick up something new. Then other books like Peter Thiel's, Peter Thiel, and I keep reading YC a lot, Paul Graham and all. So not really a book, but his blog is very helpful because he talks about all the startups he's worked with, and Airbnb, Dropbox, whatnot, and a lot of nice lessons there.
Yeah, his blog is phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. Yeah, so much to learn there.
Yes.
Karthik, I know you don't have so much time, but first of all, I wanted to, if there's anything I can do for Springrole or for you, definitely please do not hesitate, to reach out here for you guys, whatever you guys need, And I'm very excited to see where Springrole ends up, if Springrole goes, because you guys are just at the beginning. You're fixing a major issue, and you're tackling this major problem that's happening all around the world. And it's just going to be exciting. You guys are just at the beginning of an exciting journey. And I just really can't wait to see what happens, to follow along and all that. It's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. Thank you for all your wishes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this. I learned a lot, definitely learned, and just been great. I really, really excited, very excited that we had the opportunity to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And all the best to you.